Noah Reed believed in one thing above all else. Money was the only thing that never betrayed you. People left, promises broke, but money stayed. That belief followed him from the orphanage to the towering glass headquarters of the Vale Group, where he worked as the executive assistant to Adrian Vale. A man everyone feared, a man no one understood, an alpha at the very top, cold, untouchable, and dangerously perfect. Rumors said Adrian despised betas, called them useless, inferior, invisible, and maybe that was true, because Noah was exactly that, invisible. The kind of person who could stand in a crowded room and be forgotten within seconds, except to Adrian, because every night, when the doors closed and the world disappeared, that same terrifying CEO would pull Noah close and refuse to let go. I only took one day off, and my boss destroyed an entire conference room, injured 3 executives, and kept screaming my name lie. That was the moment I realized I wasn't just his assistant anymore. My name is Noah Reed, and I work for a man everyone fears, Adrian Vale, CEO of Vale Group, top-tier alpha, cold, ruthless, and completely unstable. People say he hates betas, calls us useless, replaceable, invisible. And honestly, they're not wrong, because I am invisible. Put me in a crowd and you'll forget I exist in seconds. But Adrian Vale never forgets me, because every night, the same man who terrifies the entire company can't fall asleep without holding on to me like I'm the only thing keeping him sane. By day, I'm just his executive assistant. I manage his schedule, handle his meetings, clean up the chaos he leaves behind. By night, I become something else, a human stabilizer, a substitute for something he refuses to accept. You see, Adrian has a condition, a severe pheromone disorder. Other people's presence triggers him. But me? I'm different. I'm scent blind. No pheromones, no reactions. To him, I'm the only place where the noise stops. So he keeps me close. Too close. I didn't stay because I cared. I stayed because of the salary. A ridiculous amount of money. Enough to buy freedom. Enough to never go back to the life I came from. So I made a deal with myself. Ignore everything else. Do the job. Take the money. And leave someday. That someday finally came when his family arranged a match. A perfect omega. 99% compatibility. A guaranteed cure. To everyone else it was perfect. To me, it was my escape. No more sleepless nights. No more being needed. No more Adrian Vale. I was ready to leave. But he wasn't. I'm not bringing him, Adrian said coldly. Silence filled the room. Then he added, my assistant is coming with me. And just like that, I was dragged right back in. The Omega, Elliot Gray, was exact. Everything Adrian was supposed to want. But something went wrong. A simple accident. A spilled drink. A touch. And suddenly, Elliot went into heat. Right there, in front of everyone. The room froze. Alphas lost control. Chaos erupted. And Adrian? He didn't look at Elliot. Didn't help him. Didn't hesitate. He kicked him away. Then grabbed me, like I was the only thing that mattered. Noah, I want you. What happened next wasn't planned. Wasn't gentle. Wasn't something I could label as right or wrong. It was desperate. Raw. Uncontrolled. Adrian wasn't thinking. He wasn't the CEO anymore. He wasn't the alpha everyone feared. He was just a man, falling apart. And somehow, I was the only thing holding him together. Only you. You're the only one that works. When I woke up, everything hurt. My body, my thoughts, my carefully built boundaries. And Adrian, he looked perfectly fine. Like nothing had happened. Until he said, let's get married. I told him the truth. That wasn't real. You just need treatment. This isn't love. For the first time, Adrian didn't get angry. He just looked at me, quietly. I tried everything, he said. Nothing works. A pause. Then, except you. And that was the problem. I didn't say yes, but I didn't leave either, because Adrian didn't let me. He pulled me into his life, his home, his space. Every night, he held onto me tighter, like letting go would destroy him. And I kept telling myself it was just part of the job. Until the day I wasn't there. It was supposed to be simple, just half a day off, an emergency. The woman who raised me was in the ICU. For the first time in 5 years, I chose something else. I left. At 10:30 a.m., my phone exploded with messages, missed calls, threats, photos, then the call. He's gone insane. He flipped the table. People are hurt. He keeps screaming your name. My heart stopped. The run. I didn't think, didn't calculate, didn't hesitate. I ran. Through traffic, through exhaustion, through everything, because for the first time, this wasn't about money. When I reached the office, the hallway was silent. Broken glass everywhere. Blood on the floor. Fear in every face. And inside the conference room, one man, standing in the wreckage, breathing hard, eyes wild, waiting for me. And in that moment, I understood something I had avoided for years. I wasn't just his assistant, and Adrian Vale wasn't just dependent on me. This wasn't control, this wasn't convenience. This was something far more dangerous, something neither of us could escape anymore. The moment Adrian saw me, he didn't shout. He didn't rage. He just walked straight toward me, grabbed my collar, and said quietly, "Do you have any idea what you just did to me?" The conference room looked like a war zone. Glass shattered, chairs overturned, blood on the floor. Executives stood frozen outside, too afraid to move. And in the middle of it all, Adrian Vale, perfect suit, ruined, hair disheveled, eyes still burning with something unstable. But the moment he looked at me, everything else disappeared. Everyone out. His voice was cold, sharp, final. No one argued. Within seconds, the room was empty, just the two of us. He stepped closer, too close. "You left, not a question, a statement. I told you it was an emergency," I said, trying to stay calm. "Emergency?" he repeated, almost laughing. "You disappeared. Your phone was off. You weren't here." Another step closer. "That's not my responsibility." The moment those words left my mouth, I knew they were wrong, because Adrian's expression changed. Not anger, not rage, something worse. Hurt. "You really think this is about work?" he asked quietly. I didn't answer, because I didn't have one. For 5 years, I had convinced myself this was simple. Money, job, transaction. But standing there, watching him like this, that illusion was breaking. "You think I destroyed this room because you weren't doing your job?" he continued. A bitter smile. "I destroyed it because you weren't here." Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. "I can't control it," he said finally. Not loud, not dramatic, just honest. "When you're not around, everything gets worse." A pause. The noise, the pressure, he stopped, jaw tightening. The emptiness. That word hit harder than anything else, because Adrian Vale, a man who had everything, I was the thing that filled it. "This isn't healthy," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "You can't depend on one person like this." "I already do." No hesitation, no denial, just truth. "And you're not leaving." That snapped something in me. "I can leave," I said firmly. "This is still a job." Adrian's eyes darkened. "No," he said, "not anymore." He reached out, grabbing my wrist, not violently, but firmly. "You ran back," I froze. "You could have stayed," he continued. "You had your reason, your emergency." A pause. "But you came back." His grip tightened slightly. "Why?" I didn't answer. Because I couldn't, because I knew the truth. And I didn't want to say it out loud. It wasn't about money anymore. If it was, I wouldn't have run, wouldn't have panicked, wouldn't have cared. But I did. And that terrified me more than anything Adrian had ever done. "Stay," he said quietly. Not an order this time, not a demand, a request. Not as my assistant, a breath. "Stay with me." The room felt smaller, because for the first time, Adrian Vale wasn't hiding behind power. He was standing there, completely exposed, waiting. I looked at him, at the man everyone feared, at the man who broke everything when I left. And I realized this wasn't something I could walk away from easily anymore. Because the real question wasn't, should I stay? It was, what happens if I don't? And the answer to that question was something I wasn't ready to face. I thought the hardest part was choosing whether to stay. I was wrong. The hardest part was realizing what staying actually meant. Adrian was still holding my wrist, not tight, not forceful, just enough to remind me he was still there, still waiting. Say something, he said quietly. But I didn't, because for the first time in years, I didn't know what the right answer was. I don't belong here, I finally said. Adrian's expression didn't change, but his grip loosened, just slightly. This world, your world, I continued, isn't mine. Glass walls, power games, endless expectations. I was supposed to leave one day. A small breath. That was always the plan. And now, he asked, not cold, not demanding, just quiet. I hesitated, and that hesitation said everything. Adrian let out a soft, humorless laugh. I don't want you to stay because you feel responsible, I said. His eyes snapped back to mine. That's not what this should be. Then what is it? He asked. And for once, Adrian Vale didn't have the answer. It should be a choice, I said. Silence. You don't need me, I continued. You rely on me. There's a difference. His jaw tightened. You're saying I'm using you. I'm saying, I corrected gently, you don't know how to be without me. That hit hard, because it was true. For a long moment, he didn't say anything. Then slowly, he stepped back. Actually stepped back. It was the first time in years. He created distance between us. If I learn, he said finally, his voice steady, but rough around the edges, will you stay? That question changed everything. Because it wasn't control. It wasn't desperation. It was effort. I won't disappear, I said. Not yes, not no, but honest. You don't have to destroy everything to find me. Adrian let out a breath, like he'd been holding it for years. The next few weeks were strange. Adrian still worked like a machine, still terrified the entire company, still acted like nothing could shake him. But behind closed doors, things were different. He didn't drag me into his room anymore, didn't demand, didn't force. Sometimes, he just stood there, like he was choosing. And every time, I stayed. One evening, I packed a small bag, not to run, not to leave forever, just to go back, to the orphanage, to check on the woman who raised me. Adrian noticed immediately. Of course he did. You're leaving again, he said. But this time, he didn't panic, didn't grab me, didn't lose control. He just stood there, watching, waiting. I'll be back, I said. A pause. Then, in 2 days. Silence filled the room. Then Adrian nodded. Okay, that was it. No destruction, no chaos, no breaking, just trust. 2 days later, when I walked back into the office, everything was exactly where it should be. No broken glass, no fear, no blood, just Adrian Vale, sitting at his desk, working, waiting. He looked up when I entered. Our eyes met, and for the first time, he didn't look like a man about to lose everything. He looked like someone who had finally learned how not to. And that's when I understood. He didn't need to cage me anymore, because this time I chose to stay.